I would say the magic word is systems,
Okay.
creating systems within the business that would allow the business to function without you being there.
All right, guys, here we go now. It is time to unlock more doors to deals. We're real estate investors here. We're real estate agents here, and we all have one thing in common. We believe that we can. We can live the life of our purpose. We can create financial freedom. We can build a better life for those that we love, and we can live the life of our dreams. I don't care if you're trying to do your first deal or your 500th this year. You can get to the next level, and we're here to help. Welcome to Doors to Deals. I'm your host and founder, Jim Manning. Today's episode can be found on doorstodeals.com/008, and it's all about how a former contractor and friend of mine made $40,000 more on a flip than the next closest property in the neighborhood. So Lavincent Hooker was actually, believe it or not, was the contractor that I hired on the second flip that I ever did as well. So we go way back, over 12 years ago that we've been friends, and he is just a blessing to be around, an amazing human being, and I'm blessed to say that he is a network partner in our Three Doors network as well. So if you are a contractor, if you're interested in flipping at all, and regardless of your experience level, this show's in your wheelhouse. So Lavincent is going to share some amazing tips and tricks when we dive into his deal on how he made all that extra money on one of his flips. Let's get going, guys.
Lavincent. Oh man, my friend.
Yeah, buddy.
All right.
Yeah.
So we have known each other for 10 plus years. You were the second contractor that I ever worked with. It was the second house that I ever bought. The first house when I was full time that I had ever did. So we go way back. So why don't you tell us a little bit about kind of your background, kind of leading up to kind of when we started, and then we'll get into when we started. And then just so you guys know, then finally, we're going to spend some time diving deep into Accomack. It's a property that Lavincent was able to clear an extra 40K from the next closest comp. So we're going to kind of dive deep into that too, and kind of what happened on that deal. So, okay. So tell us kind of your background, buddy. Tell us a little bit about it, Lavincent.
So I started out as a general contractor initially, but then I realized that I could make just as much money and didn't have to deal with all the headaches that was involved with general contracting if I stuck with one specific trade. And I had, I think Jim had found me from a great lead resource I was using. It was either a referral, I'm not 100% sure, or it could have been through either, at that time I was using Service Magic, I was using a couple of other.
You know what? I bet you it was through Service Magic.
Yep. Yeah, it could have been. And
yeah, because when I started out, I didn't do things very it's funny that we connected on that, because I didn't think to reach out to other people potentially, for the referrals. I just kind of was trying to do my own thing online, kind of like a stupid little millennial, but it worked out because we got connected, right? So go ahead.
Yeah, we sure did. Yeah, Service Magic. I think I was a 5-star rated contractor at the time, and got a ton of work that way. Met Jim. Jim was a young guy. I mean, I saw the frustration at times in his eyes. The one thing I remember about you, Jim, was a pen and a pad, and you would just go around and you would be jot down notes. And, and I said to myself, look at this little young guy, man. But, but man, I mean, honestly, that's the way. I mean, because you have to have some form of recording yourself in order to even have the ability to go back and look at your errors, look at what it is that I did wrong, what things that could I have done differently that could have made a different outcome. Jim was, I
So
saw
did
the
you?
hustle. I saw the hustle
Yeah,
in
I
business
was
back then.
hustling. So like, did you realize like how dumb I was with construction? Like how I literally like
Yeah,
knew like next
yeah,
to
yeah,
nothing. Like
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, you knew
I didn't know it.
absolutely nothing. Yeah,
I thought in my head that I was like fooling you, that I was like faking it, but no, not so much.
yeah, no, not yeah,
So I took
yeah, yeah,
so I
yeah.
took I took like $1,000 online internet course on it and studied
Yeah.
that, and
Okay, okay,
like
okay.
I
Yeah,
grew up playing like sports. I didn't grow up like swinging
yeah,
a hammer or really around anyone that did.
yeah,
So
yeah.
like you were in construction how long? Like when we met? Like how long were you
I
doing?
think I probably was in construction for maybe about, I want to say maybe 6, 7 years. Now, I come from much more of a construction background as far as my father owned a small construction company, and he was what I would consider a master carpenter. I mean, he was someone who understood the different types of wood, I mean, he appreciated old wood that was cut, 100 years ago compared to the wood that's being cut now. He could count the grains in wood. He would take and take a log and mill it down. I mean, he was a craftsman, he truly was a craftsman. He
So
took a love for it, but
so this is interesting. Like you were able, so you've been in construction pretty much your whole life. Your dad
yeah,
was too. And a guy like me that was a baseball player growing up, like just
yeah,
did sports,
yeah,
took $1,000 home study course. Like I wasn't able to fool you. You actually knew that I legitimately like knew nothing about it.
yeah, 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 yeah,
So like,
yeah.
how did we but we still got to the end game, right? We still got
We
to the end
still
result.
we
So
still got to the end
like
game, and
we got it
and
finished. So like, what happened there? Like how, like,
yeah.
was it just,
So
did we
yeah,
just kind of
man.
connect and have a good rapport to where it's like, man, I want to take care of this kid, or like
Yeah,
what
yeah,
do you think
yeah. And then
happened?
I went on a job, assessed everything, saw some of the things that you were doing. I also recall you growing some grass in the backyard of that property, and and it looked horrible. But I didn't want to be the burden of bad news, so I did kind of lie. I was like, "Yeah, man, you're doing a good job, man." But it was bare spots all throughout the grass. But you took pride in it, man. You took a lot of pride in growing that grass, man. It was a milestone for you.
Oh,
So I didn't want to be the bad boy, but
I
yeah.
actually was able to do something on the project. uh,
Yeah, man.
so,
But
um,
nah, man, you pointed out exactly what it is that you had needed it done. I gave you a fair price. Me and you were able to work together and was able to get it done for you, man. So it was it was a good experience. Like I always tell people, business is always, you can't go into business and say to yourself, "Oh man, I have a business deal with this other individual on the other end," but they somehow feel that they're not benefiting out the deal. Both parties, have to come away from the deal satisfied and happy to do the deal. Provide the services in exchange for whatever. So yeah, yeah,
so we were able to kind of just build a relationship and kind of get the common goal and kind of get on the same team and
yep, 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 yep,
and and
yep.
uh, and it literally, I was able to leverage your knowledge on construction, and
Hmm.
really we just built the right relationship to where we trusted each other.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
so So the reason, real quick, guys, and then we're gonna get into Accomac, we're gonna get into the property and dive deep into that. But one of the key reasons I wanted to bring this up is that I think it's really easy when you're first starting out and to see that hey, Jim's a co-founder of Three Doors Properties, and they're the networks, and we're getting closing in our 2000th deal. And I think it's easy to like look at that and see, wow, this is an 11-year investor doing this at a really high level. and to like maybe even like judge or compare yourself. Like I wanted to bring this up because guys, like when I started out, I was just a complete and utter mess. I was a complete and utter idiot, and I got really lucky. Lavincent and I hook it up, and we connected, and we were able to get the job done just because I found the right person. I found you, man. You were a big deal for me in my career. I want to thank you for that.
Yeah, man, no problem, man. No problem at all. And I thank you. No, it was a great experience, man. And I actually enjoyed doing that. I really did. I took a liking to being a painting contractor at one point in time.
Yeah.
I think like a lot of businesses, eventually you kind of get a little burnt out if you don't find a space that most business owners should be in, instead of doing the technical work all the time, being a salesman, being blah, blah, blah,
yeah.
Which is a long story. But yeah, I end up, eventually getting a little bit burnt out from it because, I was playing too many hats. I was playing too many roles
so you're being like you're being the sales guy, you're being the admin assistant, you're being the bookkeeper, you're the guy swinging the hammer, you're the guy managing. You had a couple team members, especially on the painting side. You were the guy managing all of those people, and if they didn't show up, you're a guy doing their work that they should have been doing, and you just burnt out. So so let's go into like your entrepreneurial journey a little bit then. So you burnt out and kind of knew there needed to be a change. So like what happened there?
Yeah. So, I had never given up the dream of being a business owner and having the ability to leverage and measure what service or what type of value I can bring to the marketplace, right? So I mean, that was just always been I think the driving force for me has always been the entrepreneurship, has always been the driving force that has always been in me. But so I end up doing a painting company, and then I jumped into a completely different business, which took a long time to start and grow, but it has become extremely successful. It has become extremely successful, and always in the back of my mind, I've always wanted to pick up the hammer and because my love and my passion is really real estate development. Seeing something that has been neglected for so long, and then going in there with creativity and creating something beautiful out of it. It has always been that has always been my deep passion. But you know how sometimes life can get. I think some of us got hit by the 2008 crash and blam, and had to reboot, rejuvenate, and start all over from that point. But so I had bought a little house in the neighborhood that I live in, and went in it, made this place extremely beautiful, and then I found my love for my first love, I would say, which is construction and doing real estate development. So
you had and then the construction company, then you transitioned into senior care, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then that actual, so you're doing this business as well, and you're doing these flips too. You're kind of doing both. What skill set have you had to develop to be able to play around and investing and own this other company? Like, what's the difference between you now and when you were just doing the general contracting and the painting for people?
I would say the magic word is systems. Creating systems within the business that would allow the business to function without you being there. I mean, just that simple. So I mean, I spent 16 hours a day going in and figuring out ways to create systems that would allow me to literally function a business just by receiving a report every week. Looking at which is a report that has a combination of several different factors. I'm looking at profit and loss. I'm looking at marketing budget at all times, looking at how many new clients we have received, how much money it took to receive those new clients. I'm looking at errors report, if there were any errors that took place, and all these systems that I created that produces this outcome for me to only spend a very limited amount of time is what I would say that's the major thing that I've learned that's completely different than when I was, when I first started out doing the construction. I really didn't have, I feel like I didn't even have the time to even implement the systems. And, I was just working and kind of got burnt out initially, first business that I had. So,
do you think you'd still, if you had the right systems in place, that you'd still be doing what you're doing?
Yeah, definitely. And I think I would be much more successful. And I believe that I wouldn't have got burnt out like I did. Definitely. I've even, thought about, possibly going back down that journey. I contacted a couple of my old, sales reps and a lot of good friends that's still in the business. And they say, hey man, get back in the business, get back in the business. The business is hot and booming right now, but
yeah.
I know the margins are razor sharp thin in the industry. And, it's a lot of, competitiveness and, I don't know.
So Lavincent is like most of us. He is an entrepreneur that struggles with SOS, shiny object syndrome. So like the thing about it is like, and we talked about this kind of offline, is one of the hardest parts of this whole journey is, in my opinion, the not do list. And getting really good at that. I mean, it's crazy, guys. Like, we live in America. I mean, it is the land of opportunity. And does a fish know it's in water? I think most people don't understand or get that. And there's people that are making millions of dollars a year with you name it, like whatever dumb idea that just takes off, like some silly board game or whatever, but the key is that they get really good at that opportunity, and they didn't try and do 15 different opportunities. They kind of just did like the one, right? And so like there's always going to be that draw and that temptation for you. Absolutely, because there was a part of you that really liked it. Absolutely, man. So okay, so let's fast forward. So now you have the senior business going. You've gotten it fully systematized. How many years did that take you to do?
It took me about maybe 6 years to get it to where, maybe I'll say 5 years to where it's profitable. And then, in the 6 years, became,
into where you've kind of ridden yourself out a lot of the process. So now you're kind of play around back in on properties like Acomac. So was Acomac your first one since you came back in, or have you done other ones?
It was. It was. I want to say, I think my sixth one. A couple of them was not profitable.
Okay.
So I did a couple of them, and I didn't quite, make a profit. I think on one of them I probably made like $5,000. So okay, that is a profit. Even $5,000.
Not what you wanted though. Okay.
Yeah. And I think on another one I might have, made a small amount too.
What happened on the ones you didn't make what you wanted? You had to pinpoint it.
Yeah. Okay. So and this is what's going through my mind right now. I'm actually debating whether, um, I kind of feel like when you're doing small projects, it's probably not beneficial to have full-time employees on staff working,
Mm-hmm.
working, carpenters, laborers, so on and so forth. I think if you're getting smaller projects, anything where the ARV is topping out at 150,000, you probably need to go in there with a subcontractor and, try to find, and the problem sometimes with subcontractors is that you might have a subcontractor that's extremely good at paint, for an example, but just, don't know absolutely nothing about installing trim, you know. So,
So managing the repairs on it.
yeah, yeah, and then if you find guys out here, you have guys that can do everything, for an example. But one of the issues is that can they do a certain skill efficient enough to where a company can be profitable with them? I'll give you an example. You can get a guy that can come in and hang drywall, but you know, do they is the skill level there to high enough to where you can be profitable? So I don't know. I think my issue with the other ones were that I didn't have the proper structure, meaning that um, I I had a couple of guys that were working, like three guys. I didn't have a lead there with them at all times. And I would be there for a couple of hours and then leave, and and I think that's kind of like where I went wrong. That if I would have been able to do it again, I would have basically either basically I would have subbed the project out to a contractor that could have basically handled majority of the work. I think now on the flip side, if you got a larger project like the Ackermack project, for an example, where you have the ability to make a large profit on it, and there's a full renovation process that's involved. You can hire guys and have them work in certain portions of the job. They can save you a ton of money. Like I'll give you an example: the rough end carpentry work, the finished carpentry work. I always would say a drywaller and a drywall taper is cheaper just to hire a drywall company and a drywall taper paint company, and certain certain trades you should still hire out, but yeah.
So the deals that were lower price point that you didn't make as much money on. So like when you invest in real estate, like the first way to make money, the most the common theme is that hey, you got to buy the property right. Do you feel like you bought these properties right, and then you didn't make the profit because the repair work, the contracting work just wasn't controlled, or do you think you?
Yeah,
Okay.
or they got overpaid for the property.
Yeah, what do you think?
I think it's because the control of the repair prices. I think there was still the ability to make a profit even at the price point that I bought the property at.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, and then that's the second key component is just that if your repairs get out of control, then the questions to ask yourself are, well, did I just miss stuff? And are they legitimate repairs, or is the relationship I'm having am I paying a guy per hour that just did it in 80 hours when he should have done it in 40, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah.
So you felt
Another
like
issue.
yeah, go ahead.
Another issue I think I was a mistake that I was making is the finishes. So here it is. I'm buying these homes that max out at 100,000 ARV, but I'm putting finishes in them that would being a $500,000 property, So when it came to selling these properties, I absolutely had no problem with selling them. These things lasted. One property, it was on the market for one day. It was over. The other property, I think it lasted on the market for like 3 or 4 days. It sold. I mean, they all sold super fast, So yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so let's get into Accomac.
Hey guys, just want to give you a heads up as we get into the deal deep dive. Depending on what we're talking about, there may be parts where it can be useful for you to see what's on the screen. And you can find the video on our website, doorstodeals.com/008. Something else that you can find on our website is a link to our free Facebook group for you to connect to us at a higher level. You can find the link to our Facebook group that's completely 100% free as well.
Okay, so let's get into Accomac. I'm going to share my screen with you. I know, and there's some people that have called in on this, so we'll do our best to not just say, "Hey, look at the screen," for all of you that aren't online looking at this. So 2809 Accomac. First things first. How'd you find this one, dude?
I found it through a friend of mine that's a wholesaler, and he gave me a call and he was like, "Hey, I got a deal for you." Yeah.
So networking works. All right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's good to have friends. Okay. So a wholesaler, you found it through, how did you, have you known this guy for a while or
yeah, well, I didn't know him for a while. He pretty much knew of me and knew of what I was able to do, and I think initially he had the intentions of rehabbing the property.
And what? And he just ended up getting the funding for it, or it was just a little bit too big of a project.
Yeah, it was just too much of a project, too big of a project for him.
Okay, so so you found it through a wholesaler. So how did you set up your financing? How do you structure that?
Okay, so I basically paid for all the repairs, and then I got financing just on the acquisition. So I was out of pocket for the renovation portion of the property. So
okay. So just something that Ryan, just like a heads up on that model. That model is what Ryan and I did for 3 years. And then back in 2011, we had 3 flips that we had all of our money into, and the properties were stalled and not selling. And one of them, we're going to have to actually bring money to the table. So we were in a situation where we had to sell property B because we had the most amount of money in that before A, because A was our biggest loser. So there's nothing wrong with doing that model. Just be careful. You keep a certain nest egg in place, because that can kind of get dangerous there.
No, I wouldn't necessarily recommend that model, honestly. If you can get the rehab and the financing and all that wrapped up into one with the bank.
So the bank, so it was a traditional loan. It was just a straight up traditional loan, and like you didn't get the.
Yeah, I was able to convince a bank. Yeah, I was able to convince on the acquisition, with them seeing that the fact that I had the liquid to put.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So the other thing, so I forget if it was Randall. We had another network partner that was kind of doing the same type of financing too. And the other thing to just be aware of too is if you can find a private investor to give you like 100% of everything, then literally the only thing you have to do is go out, find deals, and you're not limited by how much money you have anymore.
Yeah.
So like when we flipped it from doing it where we're paying for our own repairs to having our private investors pay for 100%. I think we went from like 3 rehabs at a time to like 13, like literally within 6 months.
Yeah.
So anyway, so just food for thought there on that one.
Yeah.
So okay, so let's go into Accomac. So you funded it that way. So what type of condition was the property, and how much remodels did you have to do?
It was in pretty bad shape. I mean, the place. What had happened was the previous owner had gutted out the entire house.
Okay.
Well, the second and third floor was completely gutted. And one thing that they did put in was a new air conditioned HVAC system on the second and third floor. The first floor was still on the radiator type system. And so, I basically went in and revamped, opened up the entire first floor, revamped the floor plans on the whole place. I think the only floor plan I left was the third floor because it was already a pretty nice floor plan.
Okay.
So the second and third floor the floor plans were completely modified. And so, man, I went in and redid the kitchen. I designed the kitchen. I designed all of the color scheme, designed all of the lighting fixtures. I took my time and picked out everything, and a couple of little neat features that I did in the kitchen. I end up putting a hydroponic system within the cabinets, and in one of the photos you can actually see
Okay. Yeah, let's see
the
if we can.
hydroponic system.
So it doesn't look like doors. Looks like you still kept the same doors, just like newer handles.
I kept the historic doors. This here is the living room area, and insulated all the exterior walls. Put crown molding up. Put a 7-inch crown molding that I had custom made from Burkhart, and then it was recessed about 2 inches
from the ceiling.
2 inches. What I did was I installed lighting in that, so at nighttime.
Here's a picture of it. So so it's like what do you even call it? LED lighting or like what?
Yeah, that's lighting. LED lighting that can change just about every color that's on the spectrum. It syncs in with with whatever music you were playing. It was Alexa compatible. Just a very neat feature that
so like kind of like I've seen that before on like my computer where like I have some music playing.
Yeah.
Lighting literally would, depending on the beat of the music, it like flashes different colors and stuff.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it stays in sync with it. Yeah.
So how much did that cost you? How much did you pour? Yeah, how much did this add-on cost you?
I would say probably about an additional $400. The lighting strip itself is actually extremely cheap. Got it on Amazon, I think, for about $30 or $40, and I think the carpenter probably charged me maybe extra $300 to do the modifications.
Now, how much of an add-on was your custom crown compared to just a standard crown?
Yeah, it was probably compared to standard crown. Now, then a deck cost, I think maybe, I'm not 100% sure, but it is a lot much more. 7-inch crown. So the reason why you want to go with 7-inch crown on, is because the ceilings are so high. You got 10-foot ceilings. You don't want to put the standard, don't want to knock Home Depot because I know the last guy that was on was a rep from Home Depot. Don't want to
Hey,
take
Home Depot does a lot of good things for us.
they do.
They do.
They do.
They do.
But I don't think they sell a 7-inch crown. As a matter of fact,
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure they don't. I
So
looked
it's
up.
having a good relationship locally with
Yeah.
locally here. Okay. So and what was the company again? You said
Yeah, Burkhart.
Burkhart. Okay.
Yeah. Good folks, man. They great folks to work with, and they provide all that old.
I think they did some trim work for my personal house. Now that I think of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you did this, and really, so the crown, the 7-inch crown, that is a fairly fairly expensive add-on, like from just your standard.
Yeah, it is. It definitely.
But the actual lighting piece, and there wasn't like to like get an Alexa or something like that. It was still only $400 for that. Like,
yeah,
that sink in.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cheap, man.
Yeah,
I would not have thought that. No, that's great.
Yeah.
So now, and here's an interesting thing too. On this is like it also matters like the property, the location of it, like in this area in South City. Is and it being like a little bit higher of a price point, you can kind of play around with it a little bit too. Like whereas if you're kind of on your lower end, that the properties that you kind of it didn't make as big of a profit on, sometimes like if you went 7-inch crown on like $100,000 house, it's awesome. You might be able to sell it first day, but that can eat into your profit too, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So, and then maybe, I mean, here's a deal too, guys, like we're all made and wired differently. And like, this could be just something like, we talked about the not do list earlier for you, Lavincent, this may be kind of like more of your niche, like to know that, hey, I'm not really like a carpet and paint type of lower end guy. I'm really more of a custom remodeler. And there's different people, like we don't, Three Doors Properties, we are not a, super high end rehabber, like custom kind of rehabber. We kind of play underneath 500,000 typically. We've done a couple above that, but for the most part, we're kind of we're not like the custom super high end stuff. And that kind of matches Ryan and I's personality a little bit. We're kind of more turn and burn guys, that's just how we're wired, right? So, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's a need for there's a need for both. Okay, so here's some more lighting. So like this is an example of how the light can change to green. It looks like you open it all up. Really nice floor plan. You expose the brick. That's awesome. So you then picked all of these patterns yourself. Where'd you get the sources from?
Now the tile I got from some great tile company that just opened up. I want to say maybe a year or two ago. That's in Bridgeton called Floor Decor.
Okay.
I spent a lot of time at tile companies and looking at the new stuff that hit the market, and I think they have a great selection of tile.
Awesome.
Yeah, and this is the hydroponic system here, so. This is something that I had customized. I wanted to do this myself. And what it is that this is an fully automated hydroponic system where it automatically dumps the nutrients into the trays. The lighting comes on automatically. Everything is set up initially. And then once it's set up, you can just look at it and kind of turn your head. This is something I kind of feel like I need to put a patent on,
Oh, jeez. Squirrel SOS again. He's already going into a new business idea.
People were amazed when they saw this.
So a hydroponic system, it does what again?
Oh, so basically you growing fresh herbs, fresh vegetables right in your kitchen. So you literally growing. I had kale growing in there. I had spinach, rosemary, oregano.
Now, you said this one the buyer ended up not wanting, right?
They did. They end up, when the negotiations end up coming down, and the property only lasts on the market either 16 or 19 days.
Okay.
And we had a contract, and we was negotiating. Initially, I asked for I think $499, and then they went to like $470 or $475, and then we ended up meeting at a medium of $483. We were talking about things that I'll keep and they'll keep. And one of the things they said is they don't too much care about the.
So you had to hurt your feelings. Well, I mean, you do need to be careful on these, and like it's kind of the same thing with a pool, right? Like a pool, like for the right buyer is like, oh my God, that's what I want. But it'll also like people that have small kids, or maybe people that are a little older in life may not buy a house because of a pool. So that's one of the things, especially when you're doing the custom high end stuff, to be kind of wary of on that. And but like in this case, though, I mean, you had enough other cool stuff that they really liked that it didn't hurt it. It's a nice kitchen, man. So it's wide open.
36-inch gas range, wine rack. I mean, it's
the kitchen sinks full, a real nice kitchen sink. So you kind of didn't cheapen on the kitchen.
Yeah, no, not at all. No, not at all. Yeah, and houses.
Like, so you have some recessed ceilings in the master.
Yeah.
Did you do custom base trim too everywhere?
Yep. So everything was new. I got it from Burkhardt. He cut me an amazing deal. I
feel like your painting on your rehabs better be immaculate because you own that painting company for so many years. The painting looks excellent. Man.
Yeah.
All right. So so I'm just kind of scanning through the photos. So you even did some special lighting in the master bathroom too?
Yeah, sure did. Yeah.
Okay,
sure
cool.
Did.
Yeah, I got some more exposed brick in one of the bedrooms. So staging, what's your feeling on staging?
Staging is in the price point. In this price point, it's a must. It's a must have. It gives the prospective buyer an outlook, of what the place, can look like. Well, I definitely highly recommend staging. And I think I've staged every property except one. One property I had a lady that just walked by and she was like, my sister will buy this. And I'm thinking to myself, like, yeah, right. People be interested in purchasing properties. And her sister came by, wasn't even 100% complete with the rehab, but she loved the place. And,
you were able to just sell it.
Yeah. Sold it before I didn't even have a chance to put it on the market. I was able to sell it. So.
Yeah. So if I did a quick kind of like comparable search on it. This was kind of like the map that I did. I did like kind of like this. So this is in South City off Jefferson and 44. And I did just like a quick little map search here. So I didn't spend a tremendous amount of time on it. I guess one could argue kind of Longfellow and Hawthorne here is kind of like a little,
that's
a little bit different of a neighborhood. Yeah.
So anyway, Compton Heights will pull a lot higher than in Fox Park. Yeah, they definitely.
Yeah, so it makes a little bit more sense to maybe kind of keep that neighborhood out. So then this is so I wanted to kind of bring this up too on this, guys, is like knowing these neighborhoods are important. A lot of times you want to kind of stay between major roads when you kind of figure out what your comparables are being, but then you could have block over have a much nicer neighborhood and I mean this kind of stretch in here is super nice, this neighborhood right here.
It is.
And it's really helpful to have kind of like friends that are investing in your area, so to speak, because they can kind of help you with that especially if you're on the newer side. So if I do that though, your bad boy is at 483, and really that actually, when I took that out, there was one that sold for 450. and you really did get a premium for this property. So you were thinking you were going to get around like 450 or 440, I think, when you did this, and so you're able to bump it the extra $30,000-$40,000. What do you, now that you've kind of been through this and done this, what do you think the reasons are that you were able to get all that extra cash for this house?
The quality of definitely the quality of craftsmanship, the layout played a huge importance. I mean, I actually spoke with the buyers, and the first thing the wife said was, we fell in love with the layout. I mean, they fell in love with the layout. They fell in love with the kitchen. They, all the little bitty smart things were just extra add-ons. I had smart switches throughout the entire house. The house, you walk in it, and you can say, "Hey, Alexa, cut on foyer light," and it'll cut the foyer lights off. Or you can be out of town, and you can literally cut off all the lights in your home. From off your phone. There was
how much did adding those in cost you? Like on top?
Those were expensive add-ons. Those were little ways to cut costs on it, but those definitely were expensive add-ons that I just felt from the get-go. I needed to do something to separate myself from the rest of the herd, and those. Okay. I was willing to. That it was all in my budget, for my initial budget, because I knew I needed to separate
when you
myself.
bought it, you factored that in. Okay.
Yeah, I factored that in, because I wanted to make this a smart house, as smart as I possibly can. So,
so is there anything special about like the backyard or the front yard, or?
Not really. I mean, it's a 2-layer deck.
Do you have lighting on these railings too?
No. I think what happened was that the photographer came, and the painter forgot to peel blue paint off.
That's just like the tape there.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. That's one of the errors of one of the photos.
And of course, I had to like bring that up in front of everyone. Right?
No, it's okay, buddy.
So a couple of things from our experience that we've learned, guys, is that bumping a property up, you want to be purposeful and strategic on it. If you apply these same principles to a house that has like a terrible lots on a really busy street, and maybe just like the layout, like for no matter how much money you pour into a house, the layout's just going to kind of suck because it's just kind of like more of like a rental property type of grade. That can really, really hurt you. So what I like about this house is, I mean, it's a good looking property. The yards, having this kind of fence in the front's a nice like little touch, a nice little add-on. It's a flat yard. And there's other houses in the area that have, there's some room there to work with on it. This could be kind of adding on all these add-ons. Like if you're at the $100,000 price point, like that could be potentially like an issue. So like when you find a property like this where there are ARVs that are selling kind of at a higher price point, and all the checklist items like are cool. Like I don't know why like it took me so long to realize this, but like one of the advantages to being an investor and having your real estate license is like just getting in a car and like being a buyer's agent for a little bit, because you like see properties the way like a buyer sees them. And it's an invaluable thing, even if it's not necessarily the highest dollar per hour activity that you can do starting out. But like, it's kind of as simple as like, do I walk through this house and is the yard cool? Do I like it? Or does the yard kind of suck? Is the layout cool? Like, or everything that I go through it, is it like, this could be a really huge plus. This could be a plus. This could be a plus. This is an awesome thing. Or, is it the difference between the backyard backs to a lake and it's really cool, or the backyard backs to a forest? It's really cool. It's on a cul-de-sac. Or is it on a main street? And then not only is it on a main street, it backs to Highway 40 or Highway 44. And it's so like when you go through these houses, like if you're looking through it and like there's a negative, that house I would kind of urge you to not kind of go all in and do that. The additions on it's probably more of a kind of like a bare minimum type of thing. You can make profit on those deals, but then when you have a house like this that is nice, that and like kind of like what you said, hey, the layout did, like you were able to make this layout really cool, man. Like you're able to open it up and make it a huge plus. The kitchen's like a really nice kitchen, right? It's a nice plus. So when a buyer comes through the door and they say, whoa, I got to have this. This is awesome. I haven't seen other houses like this. And that's when you can really bump it like you did. I mean, dude, bumping at 30, 40 grand, that's amazing, man. That is awesome. And that would be my biggest takeaway from that, guys, is it's not a one size fits all. Don't see this and be like, okay, the next house I get under contract, I'm going to bump it. Bump it when the situation's right.
Right. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah.
All right, guys. So for this particular show, go to doorstodeals.com/008. Again, that's doorstodeals.com/008. And remember, go out, live your purpose, and above all else, go after your dreams. Take care. Till next time. Thanks for tuning into this show. For more episodes and resources that will unlock Doors to Deals, check out our website, doorstodeals.com.